Previously, we created a tutorial on how to sort rows, columns, and axes in any order you want in Looker Studio. Then someone asked, I wish I could do that with a calculated field inside Looker Studio instead of the data source, since I don't have access. So, basically what we did was that we created two new columns in our data source, for columns we wanted to sort. Then we used these two columns in our Looker Studio report to sort and order our columns. Now, to the question, can we do the same without access to our data source? The answer is yes, we can, and there are many ways of doing this. We need additional columns in all cases, but without access to our main data source, we can either create calculated columns, or we can add these columns through blending. So, first of all, let's remove the sorting columns from our main data source. And then save this file. Back in the Looker Studio, let's refresh the data source now. And since now our table is missing two columns, it will break our dashboard. Our table is still showing those columns which we have actually deleted, so we need to reconnect to our data source to update columns. And these columns are now gone from here as well. So, our first method involves creating our own Google spreadsheet. So this is our original data source, and we cannot make changes to this file. Our main data source can even be a SQL server or any other source. It does not matter. The point is we cannot create columns here. So we will create a new file, and create our required columns in that file. Let's rename and save our file. By the way, we can create these columns in any data source as well, such as SQL. However, Google Sheets is perfect for these kind of transformations. Now, let's create category column and category order column with our desired order. Create a column and define all categories in order you want them to be displayed. Now, create another column named category order, and give them numbering in your desired sequence. Rename the sheet as category table. Now we need same kind of table for history column as well. So we will create another sheet, and in that sheet, we will add all values from history column in the sequence we want them to be displayed. Now, just like before, add a column for sequence, and add numbers as per your requirement. Now, let's go to the report, and add these tables to our report as well. First add the category table. And here is the table we have just added. And now, let's add the other table as well. Now we have both tables in our data pane. Now, go to the Resource menu, and click on Manage Blends. Add the main table first, and add all required columns to dimensions and metrics as well. Now, add the second table you want to blend with the main table. Add the columns you want, including the one used for relationship. You can use the configure join to define the relationship and join type. Now add the third table to connect to the main table. Again, use the configure join to define join type and relationship. Finally, select a name for your blend, and click on the Save button to save the blend. And here is our blend in the data pane. Now we need to change the data source of all charts to this blend, instead of the original table. To sort the rows and columns as per our own requirements, we need to select our own sort order columns in the Sort Rows and Columns fields. We will sort rows by category order and columns by history order. Now order rows and columns are sorted as per our given order, and we can also sort them in ascending and descending order. In the same way, we will change the data source of all other charts as well, and sort them with our own order fields. This is one way you can sort any field in your own defined order. However, this method may cause problems if your data is not even. When one value is repeating more than the others and you are using aggregation such as sum, this may result in wrong sorting. Therefore, instead of sum, you can use something like minimum. For example, let's add a new page. Now, let's add category and category order into a table. Because all values appear evenly in the data, their sort order is as we defined, despite order column being aggregated. Same is the case with the history order. Now imagine if excellent would appear 100 times in data, its order value would have been far more than what it is now, making it appear last in the sort order. To resolve this issue, you can aggregate order values by minimum instead of sum. Like this. Now, their order value will remain the same as defined, no matter how many times a value appears in the data. So let's do this in our report as well. The other method does not involve any other table or blending. Therefore, we can go ahead and delete the blend from our data. We can also delete the two tables that we created. This method involves creating a calculated field. So, let's create one for categories. Now, let's copy categories and paste them here. Here we are using if statement, but we can also use case statement to create our own defined order. And our category order column is now ready. So, let's create a new page and test our category order column. And just like the previous solution, order values are aggregated, increasing the same risk of wrong sorting in case of uneven data. And just like before, we can change the aggregate to minimum to avoid this problem. In the same way, we can create an order column for history column as well. This time, let's use the case statement instead of the if statement. Now we are done. Let's save this field and test it in our report. And now, all we have to do is select the data source and the relevant order column to sort all values in order we want. And there you go. Now, let's do the same to the other visuals as well. And this is how you can use a calculated column to define your sort orders, and then use them to sort your rows and column in any order you want. In this method, we will use the same calculated fields, but we will not use them separately, rather we will use the same as headers and for sorting as well. Instead of defining sort orders, we will place sort orders before the headings, combining both. This can be used if the numbers inside the heading don't bother you. And in this way, you are simply using the same headings for sorting as well. Let's update this field and see how we implement this kind of sorting. For the time being, let's change this to balance, since now sort order column is no longer numeric. Now we can sort directly from the sort by menu on the visual itself. And this is another way you can sort your rows and columns, if you don't want to, or you cannot alter the original data source of your report. And with this we conclude our tutorial as well. Thanks for watching. We hope you liked our tutorial. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more insightful tutorials and updates.